जयपुर वाया कोटा।
कृपया ध्यान आपो अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत.
Lucknow Junction.
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವರೈ
Hyderabad Bhattacharjya Express পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন कृपया ध्यान दियो
Just outside the Ekana Stadium in Lucknow, you'll find a hoarding that says "Adab se harayenge," which in English means "We will thrash you politely." Was this a polite thrashing? I don't know. I'll let our polite experts decide. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. Let's take a look at this match summary first. This is Lucknow's second win in their 3 games. This one takes them top of the table, 127 for 5. But the more important number here is the 16 overs they took. Joy and Lisa Sthalekar can go on and talk about the last 2 overs for the next half hour. It should have finished much earlier.
It should have, but they just wanted to drag it out. I don't know if they were, getting paid by the over or the amount of balls that they were facing, but it just shows you wickets falling in clumps was always going to be an issue. Unfortunately, not enough runs on the board to ever put any pressure on the Lucknow side.
Yeah, it looked like this match was lost in the first innings, wasn't it? 122, never enough when there's such depth in this batting lineup.
A, that, and B, when they came out and they batted with intent and just played, that partnership with Kunal Pandya and KL Rahul just put them out of the game. I think they got a couple of wickets up front, which wasn't bad at all. But after that, those two made sure that then everything else was a formality. Then it was a question of run rate. And unfortunately, the game then meandered on, as they say.
Once again, Kunal Pandya coming in at 4. Earlier in the tournament, Joy, we thought it was going to be one of those experiments. They're just trying to see what he does. But now it seems like it is part of a long-term plan for Gautam Gambhir to keep sending him in at 4.
Exactly. And look at that strike rate, 147.82. He was actually the more aggressive. KL Rahul was content to sort of play on the other side. The important thing out here is Kunal is regarded as one of the best players of spin in the country. He can take on spin. So wherever you see locations where the ball is going to take a little bit of turn, he's that left-hander up in the order they're going to send up there and say, take your chances out here. And I think that is the designated role for him. I think what we saw out here is one team that was very well prepared about what their plans were and what they're going to do. And the other team perhaps got a bit of surprise by the pitch, reacting to the other team. So this was, Lucknow played the game, played their cards exactly well. The pitch was right, the team was right, getting Amit Mashrain was right. They got all their decisions right. Putting pressure in the first overs while batting to get some early runs was right. So they got everything right. And now basically Sunrisers have to go back and figure out how they can change the template.
Yes, another loss for the Sunrisers. But Lisa, you like Kunal at 4? On this pitch at least?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I was going to highlight the fact, and I saw on one of the replays, when Krunal tried to just kind of dab it down to third, KL was up the other end, wiggling his finger going, no, that's not what you do.
Shot.
And then the next ball, he comes down the wicket and pumps it straight. So it's good to have someone of that experience, of that class, just to guide him as well. It's like, this is your strength. This is what's going to get you runs on this pitch. Don't need to be cute with your shots. Just play good cricket shots and we'll get the job done. So he has got a role now to play. And I said it even after the first innings. He didn't have a great year last year and they still won. So, well, they still did really well, should I say. But the main thing is that he needs to have a bigger impact with bat and ball.
Before KL Rahul got out, I saw a tweet from Harsha Bogle which said, LSG are showing how to bat on a pitch like this. We'll talk about the KL Rahul reverse sweep in just a bit. But just proper cricket shots when the pitch is doing what it was doing?
Exactly. And you know what she's talking about? When even a KL Rahul is talking to Kunal Pandya. When does a guy get 600 runs 5 years in a row? Or 593 when he's at his worst? He gets it when his shot selection is excellent. He doesn't give his wicket away. When he gets opportunities like this, when he knows that the pitch doesn't have very much, it's just low and slow, and it's not that they have anything that's really threatening on this pitch, he will make sure that his runs count. And I think if he can impart some amount of shot selection to people like Kunal Pandya, even to somebody like, say, a Nicholas Puran, who's amazingly talented, I think this team could go a long way. This team could have a very long run.
He'd done the hard yards. He looked pretty good to finish the game, and then came that reverse sweep. So shot selection not so good towards the end for KL Rahul.
Yeah, I think at that point in time, somebody's looked at it and said, look, if we finish in 15, this is what our run rate is. finish in 16, that's what I run. So that's an acceptable risk under those circumstances.
It is also when you get an opportunity, when there's not a lot of pressure, the game is kind of done. You go, okay, I've been working on this shot in the nets.
Yep.
Can I actually play it? You know, can I execute it out in the middle? Am I picking the right ball? He did get a lot of gifts, I think, at the top of his innings. Genuine half volleys that he just pumps nicely down through the covers. But I like to see some experiments going on at a back end of the innings. Yes, it's annoying because we want the game to be done and dusted, but I think it's important for him to bring in different shots throughout this tournament so that if there is a precious situation, he's actually got a go-to shot that he's actually tried out in the middle.
SRH might be thinking if only we had 30 more runs on this pitch.
Yeah, look, the truth of it is before being outplayed, they were outthought. And I think that would be even more worrying to them. They didn't know what they were doing out here. They couldn't react well enough. And it's part of it is the personnel. They weren't exactly, this is not the right personnel for this kind of game. It doesn't suit them also. The kind of surfaces, this is not the kind of surface on which their batsmen will do well. And that's an important thing for them. So they'll probably say that we've got to go home and do something. But once you lose 2 in a row, you know, things start to count and you're starting to wonder where you go from here.
And it's not a bad team at all. When you look at the squad, there is a plethora of players that can win you matches on their own. The other number that will trouble them in this scorecard is the number of extras. 15 wides and 2 byes. Terrible, terrible second half for Anmolpreet.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking about as well. That if you look at that, it makes a case for Klaasen to walk in because you'll need somebody who's a good wicket keeper. Even with somebody like an Adil Rashid, you know, if you really want him to succeed, good spinners need really good keepers behind the stumps, international level keepers. Anmolpreet is what we call a serviceable keeper. He'll stop it occasionally and it's difficult to stop. And if somebody like, you know, somebody's bowling at 149 like Umran Malik is, you're going to give away byes as well. You need really high quality keeping for that.
Yep.
So they'll have to look at that solution and say, this is not working for us.
You mentioned Klaasen. We've got a question using hashtag Ask Cricbuzz Live. Let's take a look at what it says. It comes in from Hariharan Sukumaran. Thanks, Hariharan, for your question. It says, one of the main reasons of bringing the impact sub-rule was for teams to play their best combination for the conditions. Have teams failed to do so far? We saw Hyderabad bringing in Fazal Haq Farooqi. All of us thought it would be Mayank Markanday, the leg spinner.
Yeah, I mean, we're not in that dugout. We're not looking at the pieces of information that they're going with. Shane Watson gave us a bit of an insight, didn't he, when he did the interview saying, everyone's talking about everyone, but at the end of the day, we're still going with the one player still being subbed in and subbed out. So it will still take a little bit of time, I think. And I've been surprised about how different the pitches have played throughout this IPL. So now that we've kind of got a gauge of majority of locations now, I think they'll have a better understanding of who they need to be playing at what innings as well. So you may see a change.
They may have wanted to use Akhil Hussain, but he wasn't even part of the subs. They bought him for 1 crore. He can be quite handy with the ball in the power play. Someone like him would have had a great role to play in this.
Absolutely.
This match.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They didn't think of this pitch as a pitch will be low and take turn. They didn't understand that pitch. They didn't read the pitch well enough. So that's what I want to say. And of course, lots of people got it wrong. The experts got it wrong. The guys who were on the field got it wrong. So let's not. But let me tell you one thing. When we are talking about impact players and their level of contribution to the game, who is an impact player? Think about it very calmly. If you have 6 batsmen, I'm always putting in my normal 5 or 6 batsmen there, and my impact player is my 6th player. Okay. Similarly, he's not my first choice batsman. Otherwise, he'd be there already.
Yep.
He's not my first choice bowler. Otherwise, he'll usually be there already. So what I'm trying to say is that your impact player is like the 10th or 11th player selected on a team list. Okay. To expect him to be an outstanding performer every time is, I think, expecting too much. Yeah. Yes, you've got 2 outstanding performances from impact players. You've got Dhruv Jurel, you've got Suyash Sharma. Both of them have given it to you. But that's what I'm saying. These are the 10th and 11th players selected. Think of it like that. And then you say, how often do 10th and 11th players do so well?
I think also what I've liked about it is it gives more opportunities for Indian domestic players. So it's a chance to test them out without getting them into your playing level. So someone like Jurel comes in, does well, he's probably in your playing 11 for the next game.
Yep.
So it's a chance to go, hang on, we're not quite sure how this guy is going to go. Let's give him a little bit. It's 10 balls, 6 balls, an over or 2. And if he does well, okay, there's another option that we can play around with. So I think that's how they're using it at the moment.
Hardik Pandya and Ravindra Jadeja are products of the IPL. They're all-rounders, 2 utilities. Is that going to get disturbed? Because going forward, they'll say, all right, we want one player with one specific skill. We'll use him as an impact sub. Is that going to get disturbed?
Difficult to say because you always need all-rounders. So if you, look at Dhoni's teams typically. He goes in with 3 all-rounders, 4 all-rounders. I mean, he used to go in a situation where you had Dwayne Bravo, you had Ravindra Jadeja, you had Moeen Ali, all of whom both bat and bowl. But though having 3 all-rounders, does it mean you can't use an impact player? You just want more and more choices because the more choices a captain has. So definitely it gives you a bit more chance for specialist batsmen and specialist bowlers. But all-rounders will always be worth their weight in gold because they give you both.
Let's give closure to Hariharan's questions. He's still asking if teams have done well on using this option or can they do something better?
But we've got to know what the answer is of what is successful as an impact player. That's the first thing we need to answer is what do we class as success? So I think if you were to look, there was probably 2 or 3 performances so far. So based on that, maybe not. Maybe just under 50% have been successful.
Yes, there's a lot more for us to see and a lot more will unravel going forward. It's only 10 matches so far in season 16. There's a lot more cricket to come. But every time LSG play at home, is this kind of pitch going to be the template or do you think they'll mix it up?
They can be it's going to be very interesting because everyone's going to walk in and say which pitch is going to turn up today. And I think LSG will try and keep them guessing. That's how they'll play it. They'll play it smart. If you see Wood in the 11, it's most probably not this kind of pitch. So they'll play it by, and I think that's one thing that is always fantastic. If you can put some uncertainty to the travelling team's mind, that's absolutely fantastic if you're the home team.
SRH go back home to play Punjab in their next game. LSG take on Virat Kohli's RCB who lost their last game. That match will be played at the Chinnaswamy. Any learnings for LSG?
No, I think they're ticking along nicely. They would be happy with the amount of contribution throughout the side. So the issue will be when Quinton de Kock comes back in and they're now getting the balance. That will be the interesting point. So, but other than that, I think they'd be happy.
Yep. Let's now talk about what's coming up on Saturday. Match number 1. We will go across to Guwahati where the Delhi Capitals will be in action against the Rajasthan Royals. It's the second and the last game in Guwahati for the Rajasthan Royals. What's happened to RR so far? The last game, they lost by 5 runs. It was a close game, but we saw Ashwin coming in to open. That was a bit bizarre. You reckon they should not experiment so much, or you thought made sense?
They may have an issue with Jos Buttler. So if that's the case, I think they've got 2 options. Devdutt Padikkal to potentially open, and the other one that they could go with, which is a little bit left field, is a Joe Root. Simply because, and the reason why I say that is that he's in good form, Test cricket, but he also played in the UAE, I think, for DC, and he got 280 odds. So he's kind of showing that he can play T20 cricket. So do you put a calm, cool, collected guy there at the top with the youngster? I don't know.
They use the word glue for players like these. They thought Kane Williamson would be the glue as well. Can Joe Root be that glue that helps the other explosive batsmen perform the way they want to, their natural game?
I think, look, Joe Root will also know that he's in for the time that Jos Buttler is out because the way their team is constructed, I don't think he's got a long term because Hetma is playing way too well in his particular role. Jason Holder gives them a lot of variety. So the others just slot in. It's Joe Root, it's important for him, but he will be, I think it's not a bad idea, exactly as Lisa said, to allow him to open because if he opens, batters who can't force the ball too much, they're better off opening. And again, you move Padikkal. Suppose you move Padikkal to open. Okay, Padikkal goes and gets 70, 80 runs. Can he move then back to the opening slot? He can't because the moment Jos Buttler is back, that has to go back to him.
Yep.
So you're better off almost saying,
Not
get used to this
disrupting,
slot. Just get used to your slot. Do that. And I think Joe Root is the only natural sub you can get in at this point in time.
For Delhi, well, it's not gone to plan at all. Their batting isn't firing. Let's take a look at their squad. Nokia has come in, and his return has certainly bolstered the bowling. Mitchell Marsh has gone home to get married. So what change do you expect there? Who comes in for Mitchell Marsh? Would you bring in an extra bowler, maybe in Lungi and Giri, and trust your top six to do the job with the bat?
You could go Rovman Powell potentially as well. Phil Salt, he normally bats right at the top, so I don't know if he could slot down to 3 if they wanted to.
And you've got to look at Akshar Patel as well. Now he's been batting beautifully. Is there a case to send him up the order?
I think there is a case to send him up the order. Prithvi is too big a player for them to take a chance with him immediately. I'd say the person who's in more danger simply because Prithvi's had a established and proven track record. Sarfraz might be in a bit of danger at this point in time. And I'd say both Manish Pandey looks like a good prospect out there. The only reason I wouldn't say that bring in Phil Salt is they've just given Abhishek Porel a chance. He's just done okay. It'll just break his confidence if after one match they just yank him and say, okay, Phil Salt comes in. Because the point of it is Phil Salt can't be a long-term substitute for him. At some point in time, once Mitch Marsh comes back, the way their team is constructed, they need a Mitch Marsh up front.
I think he has, for the Adelaide Strikers, maybe a few years ago, he didn't keep. So he was in the field. So I think that's potentially, so you can still keep
Abhishek Porel.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at the squad and decide who the 4 foreign players should be or could be. So Warner, Russo.
So if you go Warner, Russo, and at least Nokia. So that leaves you between Rovman Powell and Phil Salt, really.
Yeah.
That's basically the
That's what I think.
Yeah, Mustafizur Rahman is on that on their list as well, but
they need runs. That's the problem.
Runs. Yeah, they need runs with the bat. That hasn't worked for them so far. It's also the reunion of the Kulcha pairing. It's not been a bad outing for Kuldeep Yadav. He seems to enjoy playing under Ricky Ponting.
I think Kuldeep Yadav, his return after KKR to Delhi has been nothing short of fantastic. He's enjoying himself. He's bowling well. He and Akshar Patel are they are the only 2 people for which that's one problem that fortunately they don't need to solve. But they've got a lot of other things going. I don't think Mukesh has worked out the way they want to. I don't think their fast bowlers. Khalil has given them a bit in one match, but not enough. So I think Nokia is there, really solid out there. They need something more from the Indian fast bowling, and they need the batting too. They just need somebody in the batting to put up their hand and play big innings.
And I need you to tell me your player to watch out for.
Okay. I'll go with, I'm going to take I believe that it's make or break for Prithvi Shaw. Tomorrow has to be a definitive performance.
For you, RR?
I had written down Shaw and Sarfraz Khan players to watch because they need to have a big game.
Right, but RR, we need an RR player, so.
RR.
Let's go with Yashasvi, shall we?
No,
or do you want to go with the captain, Sanju Samson?
No, I actually want to say, I hope Joe Root plays.
Okay.
Okay, I want to go Joe Root because I want to see him actually play in the IPL and I want to see him show everyone that he is capable of playing the shortest format.
That's where it is DC versus RR in that first game in Guwahati. The second game on Saturday is between teams that have won 9 titles between them. They stood 9th and 10th in that last season. Mumbai come back to their that favorite ground, the Wankhede Stadium. It's going to be packed. It's going to be buzzing. Once again, Joy, the focus for MI is going to be in that engine room right up top. 1, 2, 3, they need runs. They need big runs from them.
Somebody needs to stand up. It's just, Rohit, Surya Kumar, Ishan, those 3, the runs they've got so far have been from Tilak Verma and Nehal Vadera. That's not the kind of team that MI is known to be, and that's it. Tim David also needs to, give a performance and show. Jofra Archer was also off form. There's a lot to be solved out here. Riley Meredith joining up is a big thing, and I think given the Behrendorff really didn't blow anyone away, you could see Riley Meredith come in, Riley and Jofra Archer come in for them as well.
Yes, CSK playing in a high pressure environment, but I can tell you, MI fans are proper cricket lovers. They love to watch. They'd love to watch Dhoni bat. Ben Stokes is a big draw as well. He's one of those blockbuster players. You reckon he'll enjoy this Wankhede pitch? There'll be a bit of spice on that pitch.
Yeah, I think he'll certainly enjoy it. I'd expect extra bounce. good carry, which is something that he likes and he feeds off. I actually think he may struggle throughout this year simply because he may not bowl as much or as well as he would like, obviously trying to nurse a knee injury. So it's going to put a lot of pressure on his batting.
We've got to talk to you about MI as well. Joy spoke about their batting and how the top three are so crucial. But who are your picks with the ball? Would you say maybe rely more on pacers? We'll pull out the squad graphic for you of the Mumbai Indians and see what the options are. No Jasprit Bumrah. We've spoken so much about him. Arshad Khan, Jofra Archer.
I don't think Piyush Chawla will he bowl? He won't play, will he?
Yeah, he played last time.
He did, but on that pitch?
On this, yeah, exactly. On this
I just
pitch,
don't
maybe
think.
not Mumbai. Good chance of Sandeep Warrior walking in there because they need a fast bowler. This Wankhede is going to be a fast pitch. It's going to be a true bounce pitch. Sandeep Warrior is pretty sharp and he gives them a little bit. But I think this is the point. They need to, at this point in time, Mumbai needs to make a statement. You know, they look half asleep. They look, Jofra Archer didn't look like the Jofra Archer of old. Bumrah is not there. So they need to make a statement with bat and ball.
The trio for Chennai, Moeen Ali, Sir Jadeja and Mitch Santner. You reckon there's any possibility of a change there for Chennai? Let's pull out that Chennai Super Kings squad graphic to see what the options are. Among the bowlers, well, Sisanda Magala will be available. He's easier, so yeah, maybe they could add him. For Santner, maybe?
Potentially, yeah, that does make a bit of sense. And I'd love to see him. Obviously, he's kind of pinching himself that he's even been selected by Chennai, and I think they did a post-match presentation over in South Africa, and there's still one game to go, and he's like, no, tomorrow is all about packing, and I've got to get everything right, and I've got people coming over to help me because it's the longest time I'll be away from home as well, which will be interesting to see how he copes. So hopefully he gets an opportunity and he does really well.
An opportunity for the two of you to pick two players, one each, both teams.
I'm going to go Stokes. And for Mumbai, you go Chennai first. Joy?
Go Rohit.
Chennai first. I would have gone Stokes as well. I'm going to go Rituraj. Simply because I think he's having a sensational season. This kind of pitch suits him as well. Plays enough in Maharashtra, plays a lot the Wankhede. He knows this pitch. MI is an interesting one, but I think Jofra Archer needs to make a statement if they've got to do anything in this tournament.
You want to pick one MI player?
Ishan Kishan.
Good pick. Interesting. Ishan Kishan enjoys batting on this Wankhede pitch. The ball will come on nicely and the points table will come on nicely as well on your screen to see where LSG find themselves right up top. Net run rate plus 1.358. 2 wins in 3 matches. Gujarat at 2. Punjab at 3 with 2 wins as well. Kolkata got into the top 4 with a big win last night. Where do Mumbai find themselves? At number 9. They could go up to 6 or 7 if they win against MS Dhoni, CSK. Whatever will happen, one thing's for sure, Joy and Lisa are going to order. What is that? What dessert was it?
It was...
You're giving away our secrets.
In case you guys have any suggestions on what we can order for dinner tomorrow, it's always a party here on Cricbuzz.
What more are you going to outsource?
Yeah.
You want us to give expert opinion. You want them to give you the menu.
Listen,
what are you going to do?
I am just going to sit here and eat. That's why I'm here. It's a party. I come here for free food. And you can come in for a lot of free entertainment. Cricbuzz Live will come back. But before we say goodbye, we cannot say goodbye without answering the question to Joy Factor. Sir.
In Test cricket, Virendra Sehwag, Irfan Pathan, Sanjay Bangal and Iqbal Siddiqui are the last 4 Indians to record what singular feat? And it is opening, both the batting and the bowling in a test match. Wow. And Viru opened this thing. In fact, the person who's done it most often for India is Manoj Prabhakar, who used to do it for a very long time. But the first man to do it is probably one of India's greatest all-rounders, the one and only Vinu Mankad. Wow. So it's quite something to be able to open the batting and the bowling. Of course, with Sehwag, it was a really spicy second innings pitch, but he's done it.
Only a proper cricket fan, a proper quizzer would have got this right. Who got it right? Let's find out. What's the name? Parth Narodia.
Yeah. Parth is a
proper quizzer?
He's a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer.
In this format, yeah.
Lisa, you've got to give him a special high.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer.
Hey, mate. Great job. tweet me and give me the answer before if you can.
She can say bye. I'm not a Hall of Famer, but I can say bye as well. Bye-bye. Good night. See you at 3 p.m. on Cricbuzz Live. You coming tomorrow?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Jaipur via Kota.
कृपया ध्यान आपको अहमदाबाद
दिल्ली में आपका स्वागत
Lucknow Junction,
ನಿಲ್ದಾಣದ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹೊರಟಿರುವ ರೈಲು ಚೆನ್ನೈ ತಿರುಚಿರಾಪಳ್ಳಿ
Hyderabad Superfast Express
পরবর্তী স্টেশন নেতাজি ভবন।
कृपया ध्यान दें